Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining me today because we're going to be breaking down what is arguably the single most important core skill you need to actually succeed and thrive in this incredibly noisy world of ours. Seriously, if you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by just the constant barrage of notifications and distractions, you are exactly in the right place. So, let me start off by asking you a deeply relatable question. Have you ever looked up at the clock, seen that it's 5 p.m., and realized with this awful sinking feeling that you've done absolutely nothing of substance all day? Like, you spend 8 solid hours replying to emails, answering quick messages on your phone, just putting out tiny fires everywhere, but that major, complex project you really needed to tackle, you barely even touched it. It's an incredibly frustrating feeling, isn't it? Well, don't be too hard on yourself. Honestly, this feeling of zero productivity happens because our modern work environment is quite literally designed to interrupt us. Think about it. On average, you get a phone call, a chat ping, a coworker stopping by your desk to gossip, or some sudden meeting request every 45 minutes. It's just a constant, relentless barrage of endless distractions that shatters our attention into these tiny, useless little pieces. Okay, so here's our roadmap to reclaiming our time today. We're going to cover the focus crisis, what deep work actually is, its immense value, 4 distinct work models you can use, the chain technique for habit building, and finally, the art of resting. Let's dive in. All right, part 1, the focus crisis and the distraction trap. You know, our widespread inability to focus isn't a personal flaw. It's systemic. Your brain naturally prefers simple, easy tasks over hard focus. We are biologically wired to choose the path of least resistance. So when you're faced with a choice between writing a really complex analytical report or, say, simply replying to a quick text message with a thumbs up emoji, your brain instinctively screams, "Do the easy thing," and boom, we click the text message. We're basically fighting our own biology in a digital world that exploits that exact weakness. Moving on to section 2, what exactly is deep work? Now this is where it gets really interesting. Cal Newport, he's a professor who achieved massive career success before he even turned 40. He credits his achievements to a stark contrast in how he works. On one side, we have deep work. This is high focus, completely uninterrupted effort that produces massive high value and builds skills that are just really hard for anyone else to replicate. On the flip side is shallow work. These are tasks that don't demand much mental strain at all, right? They're repetitive, they happen in easily disrupted environments, and frankly, they produce very low value. Things like sorting your inbox or basic data entry. Shallow work just keeps you busy, but deep work actually moves the needle in your life. Which brings us to section 3, the value of deep work. Let's look at the hard science for a second, because intense focus is actually driven by myelin. This is a real physical substance in your brain that acts kind of like insulation for your neural pathways. When you engage in deliberate practice and deep focus, your brain actually produces more myelin, meaning you are physically upgrading your brain's hardware, strengthening those neural connections so you can perform better. But on the flip side, living in a constant state of shallow work, that actually degrades this connectivity. So your focus is quite literally building a better brain. And from an economic standpoint, the modern new economy heavily rewards just 3 elite groups: high-tech workers who can navigate complex systems, superstars who are the absolute best in their respective industries, and capitalists who have the money to invest. So how do you break into those first 2 groups? Well, deep work builds the exact 2 core skills you're going to need: the ability to quickly master hard, complex things, and the ability to produce output at a superstar level of quality. But hey, it's not just about money and career success, right? It's deeply tied to your overall well-being. The renowned psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi coined the term flow, which is a state of total psychological immersion. His years of research discovered something profound. True human happiness doesn't just come from acquiring material wealth. True fulfillment actually comes from being deeply immersed in a challenging, meaningful task where you just completely forget the world around you. Deep work is a direct pathway to this incredibly satisfying state of flow. Okay, section 4, the 4 work models. So how do you actually implement this into a messy daily routine? I mean, you don't have to quit your job to do deep work.
First up is the monastic model. This is best for novelists or monks. You abandon all distractions entirely, isolating yourself for long periods. Then there's the bimodal approach, super popular with academics, where you split your time 50-50, completely deep for a season, then shallow for the rest. For most of us office workers, though, the rhythmic model is the absolute sweet spot. This means carving out habitual blocks of time every single day, like focusing strictly from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. And finally, the journalistic model. This is for highly busy professionals who train themselves to drop into intense focus instantly, anywhere, anytime, even on a chaotic train ride. You've just got to find the model that fits your reality.
Which leads us to Section 5, the chain technique. Executing your chosen model requires a bulletproof habit, and the famous chain method is incredibly simple, but man, is it highly effective. Deep work demands consistent, highly visible progression to truly stick. So, step 1. Choose your habit. Let's say 1 solid hour of deep work every morning. Step 2. Get a physical calendar you can see on your wall and put a giant red X over every single day you successfully complete that hour. Step 3. Do not break the chain. Seeing that continuous visual line of success taps right into your psychology. It highly motivates you to keep going. Whether you're using this for deep work, exercising daily, or learning a new language, you just do not want to be the one to break that visual streak. And finally, Section 6, the art of resting. This brings us to a highly counterintuitive pillar of elite productivity. 4. Statistical studies show that a normal, healthy human brain can only sustain a maximum of about 4 hours of intense, deep work per day. That's it. After 4 hours of truly deep, concentrated focus, your cognitive energy is entirely depleted. So to do great work, you have to recognize the absolute necessity of intentionally doing nothing at all. You cannot push past it with extra caffeine or pure willpower. Your brain simply must rest. And here is the modern trap we all fall into when we try to rest. You might think scrolling your phone while waiting in line for coffee is taking a break. It's not. Your brain is rapidly processing new information, notifications, images. It is actively working. True rest is letting your mind wander. It's staring out a window, taking a walk without a podcast playing, or just being perfectly okay with a moment of pure boredom. Because if you don't allow your brain to embrace that boredom and truly rest, you will not have the cognitive energy required for your next deep work session. So to ensure you actually get this high-quality rest, you need to write a daily shutdown plan. If you're a bit of a workaholic, at the very end of your workday, write down all your unfinished tasks and plan exactly when you will handle them tomorrow. By physically writing them down, you give your brain permission to mentally release them. Pair this with a little evening meditation or a walk in nature, and your brain can fully let go, switch off, and thoroughly recharge for tomorrow.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. And I want to leave you with a pivotal, maybe even provocative question. What are you going to do right now? Will you check your notifications, or will you start your very first deep work block? The choice is entirely in your hands. You now know the science, the strategic models, and the undeniable value of mastering your focus. So don't fall right back into the shallow work trap. Challenge yourself. Close the tabs, put the phone on silent, and see what you are truly capable of creating when you dive deep. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.